Hello Kenyon fans, and welcome to the Scott Thielke Show with our special guest this week, Taylor Diffley. I'm Matthew Ruskin, and we're going to get going first off starting with a quick jump onto the men's side. Coach, the men went 1-2 at Emory. What did you think of their play?
Well, I think, like we talked about last week, we sort of put ourselves in a tough position driving all the way down to Atlanta, playing three really good teams back to back to back, and so it was a tough weekend. I felt like we played fairly well at times, and then certain times we just did not play tremendously well at all. You could possibly count it off as it was a fatigue factor, but I just think we didn't have the focus that we normally do, and we didn't get it done in a few places that we normally have been getting it done. So I think that was a factor for most of the weekend.
And now kind of jumping over to the women's side, a 7-2 win over Allegheny this past week, and now a 3-match win streak. And kind of going to both of you, what has been important in getting this streak?
Well, I think we're playing Division III competition now and not playing former professional players. That always helps.
It's like, yeah.
So I think that has helped us a lot. I think we're playing a lot better after the spring break trip. You play a lot of matches over the spring break trip, so I think that's helped us a lot. And so I think right now we're sort of on target for what we wanted to have done, and we have a big match today against Denison, so hopefully we can continue the streak.
And now for Taylor, what do you think you've personally been doing well along with your teammates in this 3-game win streak?
I would say that for the most part we've had a really good attitude throughout these past 3 matches especially. We've gone into every match just not expecting to win, even though a few of the matches we had the expectations that because we were technically the better team. But for the most part I feel like everyone's just really gone in competing really hard and not worrying about the overall outcome of the match and just playing point by point.
All right, and now to everyone's favorite part of the show is the off-topic topic, and we wanted to know, athletes always have their favorite pregame meal, what they eat, so we wanted to know, what is your pregame meal of choice?
I would say my pregame meal of choice is a turkey sandwich and fruit.
That sounds pretty good. What about you, Coach? What are you going to have before that big match?
Well, both my pregame and postgame meal are pretty much the same. If I can throw a rack of ribs down, that's good for me to go.
That sounds like a pretty good meal. I'd take that one actually. Either that or pasta. So, seems pretty good. And so now jumping back into the actual tennis talk here. We have Taylor transitioning into the #1 role this year. And what have you as a coach seen in her growth playing at the #1 spot?
Well, there actually is a tremendously big difference between playing #2 and playing #1. You really don't have any easy matches when you play #1 because everybody generally has a good #1 player. So you have to be tremendously focused going in right from the very beginning, and you know that it's going to be a tough match. So I would imagine that you prepare a little bit differently. And I think for Taylor, the big transition has been is that now, in her freshman year, she would have a tendency to get a little panicky sometimes when things were going right, and that really hasn't happened very much at all this year. And so that transition has happened, and she's a lot more of a mature player now, and has obviously done really well, and was the NCAC Player of the Week this week. So I think she's transitioned well to the #1 spot.
Well, and now kind of focusing on Taylor a little bit. NCAC Player of the Week as the #1 player for Kenyon. What has this transition into #1 been like, and how does it feel to be that NCAC Player of the Week?
Well, for NCAC Player of the Week, it definitely feels great. I've been hoping to get that sooner or later, so finally the time's come. And as transitioning to the #1 spot, it's definitely been a huge jump, as Scott was saying. 2-1 is very big, and every #1 I play, no matter what school, is going to be fairly difficult. I've definitely the change I think is just mentally, you have to realize that no matter what team you're playing, #1's good, so you have to go into every match realizing it's going to be a battle. And it's been great though, honestly. It's been tough, but I've had some great matches, and it's definitely been good for my mental game.
And also, playing very well in singles, but also in doubles with Jenna Murray. Can you kind of speak to playing in that #1 double spot with her, what that's like?
Yeah, it's great. I love Jenna. We have good chemistry together on the court, and she's just a great player overall. She just has natural talent for the game. She strikes through the ball very well, and she's fun to play with too. We keep each other calm on the court. We know how to laugh it off if we're getting too serious, but I think chemistry is really the key for us.
Well, and you mentioned she's a young player, and you also as a sophomore are a young player and a very young team on the whole. Being at the number 1 spot, how do you try to lead such a young team?
I guess I'd say I just try to lead everyone by keeping a good attitude on the court, whether I'm, especially in matches, I would say like whether I'm down or obviously if you're up it's easier to be positive, but it's like a matter of when you're like down to still like keep a positive attitude, because as the one, it's obviously it's better to win, but it's not necessarily like great if you win or lose, but it's how your attitude is, because that's going to reflect how the rest of your team kind of, whether their attitude's up or down, positive or negative.
Well, I'm sure Coach is happy to hear that. So, and now our last question is, a lot of the players, or fans, don't get to see you play all that often. So if you are playing well, what should they expect to see?
If I'm playing well, they should expect to see a lot of craftiness. Love the drop shots, drop volleys, slices. But I guess just a lot of consistent play. But I think the majority is definitely big serve and lots of drop shots.
That sounds fun. Well, for all the fans out there, the GLCA Championships are April 5th at Kenyon all day. So come out and support the ladies. And then April 7th at 4:30 p.m. versus OWU. Coming out and support the ladies. And for the Kenyon Sports Connection, I'm Matthew Ruskin. Coach Thielke, Taylor, thank you for being here with us. And for all the fans, thank you for joining us, and tune in next week.